Yesterday, I shared a video diving into a fascinating topic. What if the US government seized Ripple's XRP holdings to build a digital asset stockpile? Sounds wild, right? This idea gained traction after Trump signed an executive order calling for a Bitcoin strategic reserve and a broader digital asset stockpile. Naturally, it raises the question, could XRP be next in line for this reserve? Tired of fake gurus who claim to be expert traders but never trade live? I trade live on the second largest crypto exchange, where everything is transparent and results can't be faked. For over 440 days, I've consistently closed every month in profit. In the last 90 days alone, my followers have seen over 70% profit with only 4% drawdown. Verified results, not empty claims. Want to see my verified stats? Click the first link in my profile and start copying my trades for free today. In the video, I explained how Ripple and the SEC can't just overturn Judge Torres's ruling in their lawsuit. Let's not forget the $125 million penalty Ripple has to pay. And no, they can't decide to settle that bill in XRP instead of US dollars. The law is pretty clear here. XRP is off the table as a payment option unless Judge Torres says otherwise. It's a captivating scenario. XRP, a key piece of a government digital reserve. But for now, Ripple's penalty has to be in good old-fashioned dollars. Still, the possibilities surrounding this executive order are worth keeping an eye on. What do you think? If something like that were to happen, it would take some serious behind-the-scenes maneuvering, likely involving the courts and perhaps even key players in the current administration. In a previous discussion, I mentioned that even if Ripple were to pay a penalty in XRP rather than US dollars, it couldn't simply be transferred to a new digital asset stockpile. Current law requires penalties to be paid directly to the US Treasury in dollars. This would mean significant changes would be needed, as paying in XRP rather than dollars could lead to a $125 million shortfall in Treasury funds. That's money that wouldn't be available for other purposes if it's locked in a pile of XRP, untouched in a digital vault. To make things even more interesting, some attorneys in the XRP community have recently speculated that Ripple, not the SEC, might be the one holding up the process. Why would they do that? Well, we're now in a whole new era, one where anti-crypto sentiment isn't the dominant stance of US government agencies. Ripple might just be using this shifting landscape to its advantage, taking calculated steps to navigate these uncharted waters. Ripple holds all the leverage here. They want every crypto lawsuit, appeal, and investigation to vanish for good. That's exactly what the government wants too, right? So Ripple has some room to play hardball here, don't they? Aside from cases of outright fraud, it's clear the government wouldn't mind sweeping all this crypto chaos under the rug. Now, there's speculation that Ripple is working to reduce their penalty. Makes perfect sense. I mean, $125 million is no small amount. If I were in their position, I'd be negotiating behind the scenes too, trying to shave that figure down or eliminate it entirely. But it's not as simple as cutting a deal with just the SEC. This is a tangled web, and I've broken it all down in earlier videos, so no need to rehash it here. The key point is that these complexities need to be understood. For all these reasons, and trust me, there are more, I've shared my doubts about any quick resolutions. It's a complicated game, and Ripple knows how to play it. If there's enough political determination, unexpected things can happen. It's not outright impossible if dramatic shifts take place. However, as I clearly explained in my video, under current laws and structures, these scenarios are simply impractical. That's the reality right now. I broke this down in detail because much of the online chatter I saw overlooked key facts. These ideas make for entertaining debates, sure, but many people didn't grasp the many barriers standing in the way. Could wild, unprecedented changes occur? Sure, anything's possible. But let's be honest, I'm skeptical. Ripple, for example, would obviously prefer to pay nothing at all. The thought just hit me though. Given they already invest in marketing, maybe they'd consider spending some XRP just to kickstart a narrative and demonstrate that XRP is being embraced by the US government. It could be a bold move to get attention and push things forward. But still, even then, I'm not holding my breath. Could it be worth something? Sure. But $125 million? Not a chance. That's aiming way too high. You could grab the same buzz and pats on the back for a fraction of that price. Ripple would probably only entertain the idea if the number was slashed. Big time. Now, if the deal flipped to XRP instead of dollars, you know Ripple would be all ears. Who wouldn't want the government stashing up on XRP? If it came down to a choice, I'd bet Ripple would pick digital coins over cash any day. But even then, $125 million worth of XRP? Nope. still way too rich. Just a gut feeling, but I'd wager Ripple's response would still be a firm, no thanks. Those are the key points I covered in my video, but let's dive a bit deeper. Attorney Jeremy Hogan thinks there's at least a chance something significant could unfold here. The odds? Hard to say. It's still unclear how likely he thinks this scenario might be. What's fascinating is that he's referencing legal precedent from way back in 1869. Yes, you read that right. 1869, as Hogan points out, and I'll share his exact words in a moment. Legal tender in the US was, let's just say, a bit more up in the air back then. His quote, "The general idea of US legal tender was a little less settled than it is now." Intriguing stuff, right? It's certainly an interesting angle to think about. Now, here's the post Attorney Hogan shared. Let me read it for you real quick, and then I'll break down all of his thoughts on this fascinating legal twist. Here's an interesting update from XRP community member Yasin Mubarak. His post has gained serious traction, racking up 468,400 views by the time I'm recording this. That's some impressive engagement, definitely viral within XRP circles. So, what's the buzz about? Ripple Labs was hit with a $125 million penalty by the US SEC over the improper sale of XRP tokens. But here's the twist. Ripple negotiated to delay the payment by placing the amount into an escrow account instead. The SEC agreed, and the funds were locked away under a court-approved deal. For those wondering, the penalty was specifically set in US dollars. It's a fascinating chapter in the Ripple versus SEC saga. What do you think? There's still no clarity on whether the escrowed funds were held in USD or XRP tokens. But let's be real here. Expecting anything other than US dollars in this scenario feels far-fetched. Why? Because every single thing about this case revolved around dollars. And let's not forget, this happened under the Biden administration, arguably the most anti-crypto administration in history. Add to that the SEC's notorious stance against crypto, and you really think they'd say, sure, let's hold XRP tokens in escrow? Not a chance. I'd put the odds at a solid 0%. Honestly, I'd be floored if that escrow was in XRP. It just doesn't add up. Now, someone pointed out that since a US government stockpile account will hold select, high-quality digital assets with sufficient market liquidity, it could mean the $125 million fee judgment might be accepted in XRP and deposited there. Interesting theory, right? But here's the thing. This is exactly why I made my video. For that to happen, laws and existing arrangements would need a complete overhaul. And as things stand now, it's just not possible under the current system. If a miracle happens and all parties come together for a kumbaya moment, sure, maybe something unexpected unfolds. But $125 million on the line? I highly doubt that's Ripple's ideal scenario. Honestly, I just don't see it happening. Now, here's where it gets interesting. He claims Ripple might actually have a reason to agree, because for the first time ever, the US government would own XRP. That ownership could align their interest with XRP's success, encouraging them to let its value grow. Imagine this. The barriers holding XRP back in the US finally crumble, unleashing its true potential. The result? XRP could finally fulfill its purpose, and we might just see some exciting price action. Hold up, let me just say I completely disagree with that. The idea that XRP sitting in a digital asset stockpile would change anything? Nope, not at all, especially when we're talking utility. Think about it. The only utility being stalled from a legal standpoint right now is Ripple using XRP as a bridge currency in foreign exchange deals involving the US. They're stuck using stablecoins instead because, for now, they're legally blocked from using XRP. That's it. That's the piece that's on hold. And honestly, that's got nothing to do with XRP being stockpiled. It's entirely tied to how Ripple is using it. I can't think of any major restrictions on XRP's utility, at least none that immediately come to mind, unless we're talking about the broader issue of limited utility for XRP. But let's be real, this applies to all crypto due to tax implications. Every time you use XRP, whether it's for buying something or any kind of transaction, there's a tax consequence. And let's be honest, that's a system that desperately needs to change. But beyond that, and it's not even an XRP-specific issue, what else could be limiting? If you've got ideas, drop them in the comments. Maybe I'm just overlooking something. Anyway, the original post wrapped up on an intriguing note. I never thought I'd say this, but the interests of the US government and the XRP army are about to align as both will become XRP holders. Talk about an unexpected twist. Attorney Jeremy Hogan caught wind of that post, shared it, and added his own take. And let me tell you, what he had to say is absolutely fascinating. You're going to find this fascinating. Seriously. Take a look. Attorney Hogan suggests something intriguing. Even though the Ripple judgment is measured in US dollars, Ripple might be able to settle it by transferring the equivalent value in XRP to a federal XRP stockpile address. Now, stay with me here. Let's dive into a Supreme Court case from 1869. Willard vs. Taylor. This case happened shortly after the Civil War, back when U.S. legal tender wasn't as clear-cut as it is today. The court ruled that a contract payable in gold could be enforced in gold, not just dollars. In making this decision, the court emphasized that specific relief is granted when it serves justice and withheld when it risks causing hardship or unfairness. Here's the twist. What Hogan is suggesting would require a major legal shift. Judge Torres didn't rule anything like that. So, yeah, this wouldn't be easy. But Hogan is convinced there's a path forward. And honestly, I can't dismiss it outright. That said, as someone who's not a lawyer, let me be clear, this is just my opinion. While Hogan's insights are undeniably thought-provoking, I'm still a bit skeptical about this actually happening. Listen to Attorney Hogan first, but wow, what a concept. Alright, here's the thing. Considering all of this, it'd be pretty exciting if it happens. But let's be real for a second. Are we looking at a $125 million outcome here? I'm not so sure. What do you think? Personally, I'm a bit skeptical. Anyway, he goes on to point out that in the Willard case, the court was dealing with equity in a specific performance action, totally different from the Ripple case. Still, I'd say the core principle holds up, especially when both parties are agreeing to payment in a commodity rather than straight-up dollars. But here's the kicker. If the SEC doesn't agree, it's not going anywhere. Now, the SEC would need to get on board. But here's a thought. Hasn't the SEC recently shown a more pro-crypto stance? Maybe they would agree, aligning with the broader moves we might expect from the Trump administration, which was notably pro-crypto. Honestly, that feels like a pretty indisputable fact to me. What do you think? The court is the court. Plain and simple. Can you really expect to whip the court into shape? Is Judge Torres the type to wholeheartedly back that idea? Maybe, maybe not. Honestly, I don't have the answer. Then there's this. The bigger issue might be that Ripple's $125 million judgment was classified as a penalty. And as far as I can tell, penalties like that go straight to the U.S. Treasury. But here's the kicker. Guess who's keeping an eye on the XRP stash? Yep, the Treasury. So maybe it's not such a massive issue after all. Still, it raises questions. Sure, $125 million in XRP locked away in a stockpile sounds significant, but it's a far cry from $125 million in cold, hard US dollars. Dollars that could actually be spent on something meaningful. Those are two very different scenarios. And when you see Trump talking about balancing budgets, a feat we haven't seen in nearly 25 years, this XRP stockpile isn't exactly going to move the needle. It's not nothing, but it's certainly not solving anything either. Sure, it's just a drop in the bucket compared to the national budget, but it feels completely out of sync with the rest of his campaign's messaging. On one hand, he's talking about reaching a neutral budget, and on the other, he's pushing a pro-crypto stance. Those two ideas don't exactly align. So what's the game plan here? He says he's all in on crypto, but also wants to balance the budget. How does he make that work? Honestly, I don't have the answers, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on. Attorney Hogan also raised an intriguing point about the opportunity cost of not holding XRP. If Ripple isn't planning to ever actually use it, why not just hold on to it? Here's what he pointed out. If Ripple had been forced to exchange XRP for dollars back when they escrowed their penalty, the Treasury would have missed out on nearly $500 million due to XRP's price increase. $500 million. That's a staggering amount of missed potential. It could even be an interesting argument to bring up if the judge questions why the penalty should be paid in XRP directly. If you're trying to sway the judge, that's a powerful case to make. But here's the big question. Will the judge find that argument compelling? Of course, it's not just up to one person. There are a lot of players involved here, as I've mentioned before. Still, the judge's take could be pivotal. Will this resonate with them? Honestly, your guess is as good as mine. But who knows? Maybe we'll get the answer soon enough. I'll admit, I'm a bit skeptical. I never claimed there's a 0 chance in my last video. Because, hey, anything's possible. But let's be real. For this scenario to play out, a lot of pieces need to fall perfectly into place. What I really wanted to highlight, since it seems like some folks missed it, is that the SEC and Ripple can't just snap their fingers and do the things some XRP community members are buzzing about. There are multiple players involved, and the legal system doesn't work that way. That was a major focus of my video on this topic. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. What do you guys think? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And remember, I'm not a financial advisor, so don't go buying or selling anything based on what I say. Seriously, that's not a game plan.